coming around and we're touching the end of the y-axis. And I'm going to show you how much backlash I have. I'm going to move this 1/1000th and look at the gauge. The needle moves 1/1000th. Now I'm going to pull it back to 0. The needle's just short of 0. Go to 1/1000th this way, and the needle moves to 1/1000th. Back to 0, and I'm about, I'm leaning on this as affecting it. Let me recenter this. Looks like I'm not centered. Something in my setup's not tight. Let me double check everything here. Set that on 0. There we go. Wow, just leaning on this makes that move. I'm going to try to turn this without putting any downward pressure on it. So there I've moved it 1/1000th. Wait a minute. There's 1/1000th. 1/1000th on the other side of 0. You know, it occurred to me I have the gibb loosened up here. Let me adjust that properly. Okay, not sure if that's completely right, but bring it in quite a bit. So there's 0 on the needle. Oh, now when I lean on this, it doesn't move as much. Well, that doesn't sound good when you move that around. It's just such a poor fitting part. Okay, 0 and 0. Moved it to 1. Moved it to 1. Move it to 5. Move it to 5. Back to 1. Now how far do I have to move it to get the needle back to 0? About 1 across. So this means it looks like I've got about 2/1000ths of backlash. That's as far as I can move it without moving the table. I'd say 2/1000ths backlash is probably pretty good. First I thought it was 0 backlash or a few tenths. But when I come back to 0, I'm a 1 off. When I go this way and come back to 0, I'm 1 off on the other side. So I have 2/1000ths backlash. So that's pretty awesome for a Chinese mill drill. I'm pretty happy with that. Have to see if I can set up and check the other dimension. Alright, I hope I have this axis set up where we can share in reading the dials. A little better 0, 1/1000ths. 1/1000ths the other way to get back to 0. So it looks like I can move this about 1/1000th of an inch before I start to influence it. So let's go all the way to 5. And we're reading 5. 5 the other way. We're reading 6. Let's go to the 10 mark. Oh, isn't that interesting? Do I have a geometry problem with the needle? It says it's 1/1000ths graduated. Let's come back to 0. Now we're off by 2. It looks like I may have a couple thousandths backlash in this axis as well. Back to 10. Actually moves 11. Let's see what we got going on with the gibb here. That definitely feels snug. Back it off a little bit. Back to 0. So I move about 2 before the needle starts to move. But when I get to 10 here, we're at 10 here. Let's go to 15, and I'm at 13. Back to 0. Okay, there the needle's moving. We re-zero all this. Now let's go to 10. This makes me uncomfortable. The needle should move exactly 10. But it's moving 12. That's really bizarre. Okay, now I'm going to re-zero and keep heading back the other way. Now that we're moving the needle. We'll stop 10 thousandths on the dial. And we've moved 12. Oh, you know, I have an error here. I have the gauge. The gauge is not parallel to this surface. That's my problem. So let me fix that issue. And we will. Let me reset the needle. We want the needle relatively square to the surface we're measuring. I'll reset everything here. Now I have the gauge dial on this same plane. Still moving 12 thousandths. Just repositioning the needle here. Wow, 13 thousandths when I moved the dial 10. I'm very confused by that. Let's come back the other way and re-zero. We'll just leave that on 10. Put this on 0. I'm going to keep going until I've gone 10 thousandths. Wow, goes 12 and a half. On the Enco mill, it's got this rack here and a gear drive that lets you crank the head up and down, a worm drive. And the ticklish thing about putting this head on here is this rack had to be in the bore of the head when we slid it down on the pipe, and there's nothing to hold it. So what I did was I took a bunch of rubber bands and went around the outside of the mill and captured the rack on both sides, with the idea being that I can cut these rubber bands away and hopefully get them out of there. I know I can get them out of there. Once we had the mill up. Big handful of rubber bands is a great thing to have around the shop for jigging things like that. Here's the handle that goes on here. Let's see, get that lined up on the flat. Now I'll take this up, maybe relieve. I know how to get them rubber bands out. Still a little bit back there. What would we do without a feeler gauge set? It's a little too weak. Don't want to bend the gauge. Give myself a little clearance. There it's coming out. A little more right there. I think I got it all. Well, I'm a broken-hearted little boy. Right there is where my new mill's going to set. The new mill to me will be right there. The guy called me today and he says, "Oh, I forgot. I got a 6 o'clock appointment. Can we do it tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah, we can do it tomorrow. Let me go cry in my Cheetos now." I see you found me.
I did, yes.
Look how easy it is to have financial comfort.
So you got a home workshop, or?
Yeah, starting one.
Yeah.
Of course, I want a bigger mill, but got to start somewhere. But yeah,
I'd like to have a Bridgeport, but I don't have room for it.
Yeah, need that. Need
So.
room, and the 220 I don't have either.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I don't need the power, but I'd like to be able to machine heads and big things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So all Bridgeports are 220 that I've ever seen, or more.
Yeah.
So, but here it is. It runs nice and quiet. Ooh, now that's the first time it's never started. You see my lights blinking. I've only got a 15 amp circuit out here. I wonder if I didn't have the switch engaged all the way. It's got a thing where it flips the wire polarity around. I bet you I didn't have it turned all the way.
Yeah, no, I've had good machines do weird things.
So, but
so where is the Z axis?
Right here.
Okay, and
Here and here.
does it have a dial or something to read out?
Here we go. Yes, right here.
Okay.
So it's got a pointer up here. I think I moved the pointer. Is the pointer up there? Yeah, the pointer is up there, which is goofy.
Okay.
It should be right there.
Yeah.
So I would put a...
So this... Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, so that turns this, and when you... This is a clutch.
Okay.
Hang on, there it is. Yeah, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then a really slick thing to do, I don't like the way this one's done.
Mm-hmm.
This is a mill I just acquired, but I don't like the way this is done. But something like that,
Yeah.
you know, because you always, you know, you want to go down another 10, another 10, another 10.
Right.
And, but, you know, I used this method on this mill. The only thing I've ever machined on this was I took a piece of 5/16 key stock and cut it down to 7 millimeter because I was missing the key for this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably around here. I probably dropped it or lost it, but I had to make one.
Now is that knob just come off here and go here?
Yeah, all of these mills only come with 2 knobs. You'll
Gotcha.
notice in the pictures. You can buy an extra knob. Now this one I got all 3 knobs, but I'm sure he paid extra for it. But you know, you're going to be comfortable. Like left-handed, I think I like it over here better.
Yeah.
I know most people are right-handed; they probably like it there. But I really want power feed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm going to be shopping around for some kind of way to have power feed.
Right.
Because, you know, usually when you're milling something off, especially if it's big, you know, it's real slow. And it's going to look better if it's fed better than a human can feed it. You know?
Right,
So,
yeah. Much smoother.
so, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, you know,
Very cool.
the only thing negative about this mill is the paint's peeling off of it. And you can see it's just the original factory color.
Uh-huh.
And if I'd have had it longer, I would have eventually redone that. But you know, it's in good shape. You can see it hasn't had a lot of tools dropped.
Yeah,
on it or
that does
anything.
look nice.
So I doubt that most
not a factory for
I doubt that most mills like this have seen very much work.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
I mean, maybe
Yeah,
if you bought one from a machine shop where they had like one fixture set up on it or something.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I asked a few people at work about it actually before I said a yes or no.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had seen them before and gave me decent reviews on it. So.
and I think it's about, I don't know, 275 pounds or something.
Okay.
So,
All together?
or maybe it's a little over 300. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Two people can move it around in two pieces.
Yeah.
You know, you move the base. Two guys can move. The base is heavier than the head.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, yeah, you got all this massive stuff here. Now, I cleaned it. I took it all apart and put it back together and cleaned it, and I dialed in the nuts. The nuts have adjustable dead band or free play, whatever, and I got them as close as I could without interfering with the handle travel. And if you move them just a smidge closer, then you start to get a hard-to-move screw.
Gotcha.
So I've got it right up to the limit.
Okay.
I mean, where this feels normal for me. I mean, what you're feeling here is just, this might be just a bit snug. A little more snug coming this way than going the other way. That might have more to do with the gibbs and fine-tuning that. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a nice mill. You can do a lot of stuff on something like this.
Yeah, I've been going to school for about a year now at Sinclair.
Machining or yeah.
Yeah, machining.
You're probably mostly learning CNC.
Yeah, but I'm learning also learning some proto-track. It's like a
Machinists are in
conversational.
super demand right now.
Yeah, and it's
Signs up everywhere.
yeah. We've heard had a bunch of people come in, hiring people basically straight out of classes.
Well, I lost my dad about 10 years ago, and he had a Porsche racing shop and Euro repair car shop. He had a big punch press. He made rust repair panels. He had a complete sheet metal and machining shop, all manual. And I've always had access to it.
Yeah.
You know, and about 10 years ago, as he died, and I helped my mom sell off all the stuff, and I didn't keep enough of it. You know, I kept just a few things, and if I didn't keep his machinist handbook, which just pisses me off. I let that get away from me.
Yeah.
But anyways, I've just gotten sick of, I mean, I know how to do all that stuff, and I've gotten sick of not being able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I've started buying machines and all kinds of stuff. These are the only two mills I've ever bought.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, learning CNC and stuff is great for career and school and all that, but this is for fun. And
well, my goal.
That's what I really enjoy.
I'm into 3D printing, and I actually, which is my only CNC experience, and I actually sell a few things that I make that way in my business. But it's like when I get my manual machine shop done, where I'm satisfied with it, then I'm going to start on CNC.
Yeah.
You know, and I won't want to foul up my manual shop, so probably what I'll do is, maybe by that time I'll have room for a bridge board. Because then what would be really cool would be to put CNC on that, because people sell kits for these machines.
Right.
And they're such a common machine, you know, they've been made for so many years.
Yeah, and they haven't changed at all.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I don't know if I have a practical reason to do it or not. It's just wanting to learn it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, actually a couple people in my class are making little CNC, I think they're just like etching, but it's out of the old dot matrix printer.
Oh yeah?
They use the waves basically that are in there.
Yeah. You know, I'm in the model airplane business, and I do, I don't have my own laser cutter, but I use a laser cutter over in Enid really heavily. And to me, when I see a machine or see a process, I start imagining all the things that can come out of it that serve my customers.
Yeah.
And like in the laser cut wood world, I'm probably one of the top 3 or 4 guys on the planet, just as far as the intricacy and how far I'm able to push the machine.
So this is like model plane, like
yeah, you've seen a model airplane before where you cut the wood out or you break all the wood out of the sheets.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, all of my kits go together almost like a snap-together model. and realize you're working with wood, which is not a real precise material.
Right.
But they can all squeeze together and they jig. You know, they're self-jigging, so you can't put things together crooked and all that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
But yeah, but like I might have a little model like this that's got 110 pieces in it.
Okay.
You know,
So
I just
that's
go
what
crazy
you're
with it.
laser
Oh
cutting?
yes, I won't forget that.
No, you don't want to touch it because it's been in the oven.
Oh, set it down.
What is on it?
It's paint. I painted it about 3 days ago and baked it in the oven to make it cure, and then I keep forgetting to take it out.
Okay.
I'm glad it didn't peel off.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it didn't
Too hot.
off gas and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing she brought that in here, or you would have been missing a part. You'd have called me though.
What is that for?
Oh, that's the drawbar for pulling the collets
Oh,
up.
okay, yeah, that's pretty
And to me, I just thought it needs to be black on top, so
yeah.
I went ahead and painted it. So I haven't done really hardly anything to this machine other than setting up the gibbs and cleaning it. These shafts here, I didn't like the look of those, so I polished them. And,
Oh, okay.
you know, they were covered with surface rust.
Yeah.
And, you know, just little stuff like that. I took this dial off and cleaned it real good. I have not taken these dials off. I guess that doesn't really have a dial on that side. You can move the dial around, by the way.
Oh, okay, cool.
Pretty sure. Pretty sure. Yeah. So, you're going to have to look at that.
You don't have a mill dice that you want to sell, do you?
I don't know. I would suggest something like that. That's a 3.5. I think a 3 to 4 is reasonable for this machine.
Okay.
The problem with the bigger vices, like occasionally I'll see a Bridgeport vice for 100 to 150, depending on how chewed up it is.
Yeah.
But I've seen people, they buy those things and the damn thing's this tall, and you start to run out of.
Yeah, your Z.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's too
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's in the way, you know, the thing's hanging out here past this.
Right.
And you can only imagine the load it's putting on the table. You know, is it lifting on that gibb somewhat? I mean, I don't know, but it just looks sloppy to me.
Yeah. And
So-
I'd imagine you can probably only comfortably keep it sideways for the most part.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I've turned the vise around before, but I mean, that's the way it's going to be 99% of the time. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have never shopped for a new vise. So far I've gotten all my vices used, but the only other vices that I have are like drill press quality vices.
Yeah,
You know, so, I mean, that's the only vice that I own that I would consider suitable for a milling machine. And maybe I'll replace it with a 4. That's a 3.5, but I don't anticipate one any more than that. So.
yeah, that'll be.
And these T-blocks, when you buy a set of these, there's a common set that Harbor Freight sells, and a lot of other people sell the same set. It will not fit the T-slots in these milling machines. Okay, so the same import company makes a set that fits these, but you got to really dig to find somebody that sells it. And you know, you can look around and find that stuff, but this would be an easy thing to make a mistake on and end up with a set that doesn't fit, and then you got to machine all the T stuff down. Now this one has different T slots on it. That came with this mill.
Oh, okay.
And it fits it, so
It's a little bigger.
Yeah, this came out of Cincinnati, and I've had the head off of it. I did the table and stuff right away, and I had the head off of it for I don't know, over a year. And I was concentrating and focusing on my lathe restoration projects, and I had a Logan lathe I wanted to finish, and this was the head was setting on the stand. There's been so many times I needed to mill something, and I used the milling attachment for that lathe.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with those.
No, I'm not.
Oh, let me show you one. Here we go. So this replaces the tool post.
Okay.
And you can turn it this way and raise it up and down.
Okay.
And it's just a fundamental way to have a milling capability on an Atlas Craftsman lathe. So I'm kind of into the era that I'm kind of into. I have a YouTube channel and I do when I modify these machines and
Yeah.
stuff. I do videos and stuff on it, and I'm kind of into that. The 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, that era when a guy would buy a lathe and have it at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe he wasn't a machinist, but you know that equipment that was home machine shop kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, South Bend, Logan,
Yeah.
Atlas in particular, and this is probably the worst quality of all of them.
Yeah.
But it's the most common one, so I'm kind of most interested in it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, matter of fact, I'm getting ready to rebuild this quick change gearbox,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's cool.
I bought enough materials. I own 3 of these quick change gearboxes. And
Yeah.
lathes, so I got enough materials to rebuild all of them. I haven't checked this one.
Yeah, that's gonna be my.
Yeah,
next
this one's
piece of
actually
equipment.
in really good shape, but
Yeah.
these 2 are wore out. Yeah, but what blew my mind is I took this shaft out of here, this 5/8 shaft that the shifters move on, and this is turning constantly whenever you have the thing engaged. And oh yeah, you can see it over here, how much this moves.
Oh yeah.
And the one in that gearbox, the shaft, it's a bronze bushing. The shaft is wore down to 40.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does bronze wear steel?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe the machine was exposed to grinding compound. Or
Right.
Who
Something
knows?
got in
Whatever.
between them.
Yeah. And it's a simple shaft. All I got to do is put a key slot in it. So.
Yeah.
Um,
Alrighty.
but there you go.
The hard part.
That's the wrench this one came with.
Okay.
So I would just look for a, which is, I don't know if this one fits this one or not. No, it doesn't fit that one. But I don't know. I haven't collected them all yet, but eventually I'll have sitting on this machine every tool required to service it. So I'm
Yeah.
in the toolbox to do that stuff.
So where's the?
Oh, the belts. So these-
Well, no, the retention.
Oh, she's laid over here. Cool. Ooh, it's still pretty hot. I was coming home today and I was thinking, man, I need to get that out of the oven. Wow, that son of a bitch is hot. Let's let this thing cool.
Yeah.
This is too hot to touch still. I'll let this thing suck heat out of it. So.
Where's that come out at? Though?
Finish up pushing this.
Oh, okay.
The nut sits right here.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then there's your belt change stuff. And, you know, there's something, I had to change the speed on this one. Where's my little step ladder? Oh, set that aside.
How hard is it to change the belt?
Let me get up here and see if this one's designed the same as... Oh, it's not hard. Okay, but here's the thing that I don't understand. I'm going to talk about this and let you get up here and look at it. There's a yoke that's on a bar here, and you loosen 2 bolts, and then you can move this tensioner pulley around and put the belts in different positions and change speeds. Which I think that's weird, and it'd be cooler if that was on some kind of spring-loaded thing, so you didn't have to undo a fastener to change speeds. Probably you're going to always be using very similar diameter cutters, but like anytime you went from like a 1/2 inch cutter to a fly cutter, you'd have to slow it down, and so you'd have to get up there with a tool and change it. But check that out, and this one's exactly like that too. You see that yoke and those 2 bolts?
Yeah.
So I wanted to study that and see if there would be a way to set that up with some kind of spring. Maybe replace these bolts with a stud, put a ground washer against it and run a lock nut down so you could tension it so it's under a little bit of a, so it doesn't vibrate. It just seems like there would be a better way to do that.
Right. Oh, I got some blankets, tarp. Oh, floor mat.
Let's get this done. How many years of
At a machine shop.
Ready? Yep. I got a weak right arm.
Yeah, I'm just too short.
Here, trade me ends.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
Ready?
Yep. You want to set it on the table or go all the way?
Oh, let's go. Yeah, I'm good. That stuff sucks.
You won't need me again until I sit down and get comfortable again.
Yeah, you can sit down and get comfortable. We're good. I believe that's the way it goes, so that something where I could store it around a tool. Yeah, there was no amount of loosening things that was going to get that. Get those past that. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you tilt it so you can get a sense for how heavy it is?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's not too terrible.
Are you going to get it yourself, or you want my help?
If you could.
Okay. You're good?
Yep.
Okay.
Alrighty.
There you go. All right,
Thank
man.
you. Have a
Have
good one.
fun. Make some chips.
Oh, I will.
Well, boys and girls, we got her done. We got her dead. I sold that milling machine for what this one cost me. So that was a big step up. So it only goes to show you can have a great workshop if you're willing to buy and sell and trade and work on things and fix them up. When I got that mill, I'm pretty sure I've got some earlier videos on it. The post was rusty and it was really dirty, and it's amazing how much more things are worth when you clean them up. So yeah, I'm happy. This kind of completes my project of acquiring this one. I now have room for it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this stand here. It's too high to have the handle on the other side of the mill, but I need a place to put, I was thinking about putting the Kennedy toolbox here. I don't know. I may end up getting rid of that. We'll have to see. I'm tired, it's hot, I'm sweaty. I think I'm going to put my toys away and go into the air conditioning. So, get your hands dirty. That's how you make things happen. Work on your workshop, do something every day if you can, even if it's just a little thing, just going outside and putting something away. Take a step every day towards your objectives, and you'll get there. This is Dave on the Crafted channel, and we'll see you on the next video.